All right, welcome. This is currently being filmed live for the Customers for Life community, and it's designed in a way to make everything more powerful. So the concept is it's a force multiplier. It's a mini course format. I'm going to teach over the course of 5 days, and the primary focus here is to make everything you do more effective. That is the point of a force multiplier, right? And the force multiplier that we're going to talk about is stealth influence. Stealth influence. Okay. And what we mean by that is influencing people in a way that is actually beneficial to them, but they don't know that it's happening, because I'll talk about that a little bit later in today's presentation. People resist what they can see. Okay. People resist what they can see. So we have to influence people in a way that is beneficial to them, and they don't quite understand that it's happening, right? This is how powerful content is created, whether it be written, spoken, audio, video, doesn't really matter. Day 4, day 5, I'll talk about how I do video versus audio versus text, but the concepts are the same. Okay. So first, some housekeeping. If I could figure out the slides here. First, some housekeeping. If you're live, use the Customers for Life community if you need anything. Okay. What's going to happen over the next 5 days is I'm going to go live at the same time. It's 9 a.m. Pacific. And I'm going to break down one of the 4 or 5 components of stealth influence. They'll be short, they'll be sweet, they'll be actionable. These replays will be available. Do not blow me up asking for them 2 minutes after they're done. They will be available for anybody that has purchased the Customers for Life bundle. They will also be available as a standalone on the new platform, which I can show you guys later on in the week. Okay. Any questions will be answered at the end. So if you have questions, give them context, meaning if I say something and you want clarity in your question, you have to say, hey, when you said XYZ, what did you mean? Don't just say, what do you mean by that? Because I'm not going to remember what I said and what you're talking about. Okay, so it's housekeeping. What you are going to learn, okay, over the next 5 days, you're going to learn why your content doesn't work as well as you think it should. Everybody keeps saying content is king. Most people try it. It doesn't work. There is a very, very, very important reason for that. This may be dripping with irony, but the fact is most people should not be making content. I'm making content right now. I'm making a class about content, telling people they probably shouldn't do content, but I'll tell you why. I'll tell you how to make it so that you should. But most people really should not do content, and we'll break down why. The Socratic method of stealth influence. How to move people on accident is basically what Socrates did better than anybody. How to destroy all of your prospects and your clients' false beliefs so that the belief piece is there and they will take action on the things that you want them to take action on. More importantly, again, which I'll talk about, the things they know they should take action on, but they aren't. A lot of your sales, a lot of your client success, a lot of the stuff where you're trying to influence people, they know they need to, don't convince them they need to take the step. They already know they need to take the step. Figure out or articulate things in a way that they actually do it. There are a number of things that you know you should do, and for some reason you don't do them. Giving you more and more and more reasons you should do it does not make it more likely to get done. This includes buyers, people buying stuff. They know they should buy it. Doesn't mean they're going to. Okay. I'm going to show you how to create tons of content on autopilot. My secret content format for video, audio, and text, it's the same with a few nuances for each. And 2 content generation systems. I'm giving you 2 because one is the one that I use, the way that my brain works. The other one will not work for a large number of people, but it can be engineered. It's a little bit different. So the two content generation systems, mine is the science of hindsight. Some people need foresight. They need to plan out. Okay, I do stuff and then balance. Some people need to build balance. That's fine. I'm going to talk about how to do both of those things. Okay, that'll be about day 5. Right. First, context. Let me tell you how and why I think a little bit differently about this stuff than most people do. Most people, business owners, are somewhere between marketers, salespeople, or technicians, doctors, lawyers, engineers. Those are the technicians. Marketers and salespeople, those are obviously people that live in the marketing frame. Now, I am none of those things. I'm not a technician. A technician is concerned first and foremost with being technically correct. Okay. Marketers and salespeople are concerned first and foremost with making the sale. Neither one of those things really addresses the thing that I'm most concerned about, which is my background is cognitive behavior therapy. So the thing I'm most focused on is the intention-intervention gap. The gap between what you know you should be doing and what you're actually doing, right? You know you should be exercising 4 days a week, but you're actually exercising 2. Giving you better and better and better exercise programming is not going to make it easier to sell. You're not going to have better results, because the fact is, until you actually follow the frickin' plan, nothing's going to happen. And so, if you've ever seen my stuff, all my trainings about micro steps, all stuff, it's all about closing the intention intervention gap. People rarely need more education, the technical education about a thing. There's about 2.5% of the market that buys off technical education, right? Which leaves the other 97.5%. They need to be spoken to, not in a way that you're technically correct, but in a way that will actually get them to change their behavior. So the difference here, a lot of salespeople, a lot of marketers say, how do I dig for pain? How do I dig for pain? How do I dig for pain? A lot of technicians are saying, well, how do I say the correct thing so that I'm right? Neither one of those things is super effective in content if you want to build a lot of goodwill, build a strong brand, speak to everybody, and sell. You can speak to everybody. I'll show you how. Okay. What we need to be cognizant of is not being technically correct, not stroking our ego, not being right, not digging for pain, not necessarily creating curiosity, though that is a very powerful tool. It is saying the thing that will get someone to change their behavior. Saying the thing that'll get someone to change their behavior. I'm going to say that 1,000,000 times, because we don't want them to know that they need to buy our thing. We don't want them to know that they need to sit down and watch our VSL. We need them to actually sit down and watch our VSL. We need them to actually buy our thing. Those are two very, very different things. And that's where most people are getting lost. Doesn't matter if people know they need your thing. A lot of people know they need to go to bed on time and they don't, right? So knowing a thing and doing a thing are very different. It's called the intention intervention gap. I'm going to show you how to close that systematically. Cool. Second, content distribution is not the answer. Make 60 pieces of content. Gary V's out there saying document your life, yada, yada, yada. The reality is that works for very, very few people, because very few people in that content are saying the things that will get someone to change their behavior, right? There's a very select few that have mastered NLP and, language, or they just live interesting lives and they're charming people. But otherwise, if your content is not very good, if it is not doing the job that it's designed to do, which is get people to modify their behavior, pulling out the credit card and entering it into your checkout page is modifying their behavior. Right? It's not about getting them excited or sad or educating them, because again, a lot of people know that smoking is bad and they still smoke. Have you really done your job by giving them education? Or are you more useful, more effective, and more valuable if you actually get them to stop smoking? Okay. These are the things we need to start exploring if we want to be good content creators. And I can show you how to put that on autopilot. Cool. So we'll work through that. Behavior modification. What is your content designed to do? It should be designed to modify the viewer or the reader or the listener's behavior. Get them to do something different. I'll tell you why that's important. But if they do more of the same, they're not going to adopt your idea because it's not more of the same. If it is more of the same, then they're not going to change because there's a complexity in, like, if I already wear this kind of t-shirt and I like it, there's no reason to change to another kind of t-shirt that's the same, right? So our content needs to be designed to modify somebody's behavior. Said differently, to get them to do something different than what they're already doing. They're sitting there and they don't have their credit card in their hand. We need them to modify their behavior in a way that they reach into their pocket, pull their credit card out, right? And for our clients, same thing. They're sitting there, they watch all our training, but they're not building the things they need to build. Our content needs to get them to take the action to modify the behavior appropriately. So it's not about doing it for paying. It's not about being entertaining. It's not about any of that stuff. That's all great. That's all tip of the iceberg stuff. But the foundational stuff, if our content does not get people to change their behavior, it is not nearly as effective as it could be in moving people to where we want them, which is really where the power is. Now, say, but Nick, eyeballs are money. Look at Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan does this. He gets people to modify his behavior. If he says, hey, I really like this thing, go check it out, people go check it out. So his content gets people to modify the behavior, which is what makes it valuable. It's not just the viewers. It's that when he says, hey, go do something, those viewers actually go do it, right? So behavior modification is king when we're talking about content. And it has to be under the radar. It has to be stealth. Nobody wants to be sold. Everybody wants to buy, right? It's the concept of influence has to be stealth. It's not episodic, it's ongoing. Okay, influence is ongoing. So when we're making content, we have to, as much as possible, be ourselves. I know there's a lot of rhetoric about authenticity, but I believe it entirely because influence is ongoing, which means it has to be on all the time. And if you influence in a way that is not aligned with your unique disposition, it is going to be exhausting to keep it on all the time. Right. And now moving people, it's ongoing all the time. And remember that moving people is more important than being right. If you want to be right, you are not going to be a good influencer. You're going to be right a lot and not have a lot of friends. Your brilliant ideas or solutions or products are worthless. I don't care how much you love them. There's plenty of examples of the Dvorak keyboard, plenty of ideas or plenty of examples of solutions that are better than what we do now, but they never got adopted. Being better or more efficient or faster is never enough. It is completely worthless if you can't get the ideas and the benefits planted in other people's minds. And other people really only like things planted in their minds if they feel like they planted it themselves. So our content, again, it is always about moving people. It's about letting them be right. It's about letting them have ideas. We need to plant our brilliant solutions, but not let people know that we are the ones that planted it, right? So if you want credit, you're not going to be a great stealth influencer. Your content won't be that great. Some of the greatest content creators, Oprah, Tim Ferriss, they are always, always, always evangelizing and highlighting other people because it takes the attention off of them being influencers. Okay, and it's hard to resist what you cannot see. So content must feel passive. We must show them, not tell them. Everything they see must say, wow, if I listen to Nick, my life will be better. 100,000 times more effective than me showing up saying, hey, if you listen to me, your life will be better. Right? That creates resistance. It is obvious that I am doing that and saying that. So we want to show, not tell, which again, it's always ongoing. Okay. So it's hard to resist what you cannot see. A lot of this stuff must be really, really passive. Must come from, we must plant seeds of doubt. And then the ideas that we want people to adopt, it has to appear as if they've adopted it on their own, right? It cannot be obvious you're trying to move them. When you walk up to somebody and you push them, they push back, right? I can think of millions of ways to get somebody to move further away from me, right? I mean, I can think of millions of ways that seem accidental. But when I'm obviously pushing them, they just push back. Okay. Always resistance. Force always creates counterforce. We have to understand that people have different belief systems or frames. If you're not willing to accept that, or you think everybody should have the same belief system or same frame, your life as a business owner, content creator is going to be miserable. You're just going to be unhappy all the time. You're pissed off, you're curmudgeon in the basement. We need to play upon their current frame. I'm going to show you how to do this on autopilot. It's going to be so smooth and so fast, and you're going to start meeting people where they're at and breaking them down, breaking their beliefs down and rebuilding them in a way that is extremely beneficial to you, right? And empathy is going to make or break your content. Empathy is everything. Look at the world right now. We're in the middle of riots. We just got coming off the back end of COVID-19. Empathy is going to make your content. Lack of empathy will bury you. So you have to understand people's different belief systems. Fortunately, build a system for it, so it's really, really simple, right? And part of empathy, part of belief systems, is that we have to understand the fundamental human condition, right? There's one human condition. We all share it. And we all think we're the only ones that feel it, but we all share it. Every single one of us feels misunderstood. We all think we're a special snowflake. Yeah, that works for you, but, I'm 5'3". Yeah, but I have 2 kids. Yeah, but you just don't get it. We all feel misunderstood. And if we can take that and use that, hey, I understand you. We will be one of 7 billion people that have ever said, hey, I understand you, and here's proof. Okay. So we have to understand that every single one of us feels misunderstood, and we're going to tackle that. I'm going to show you how to just cut through all the BS and say, hey, I see you. I get you. I'm in this with you. And people will latch onto that immediately. They'll binge watch all of your content or go read all your emails or blogs if they feel like you understand them. Because again, you are one in 7 billion people that finally understands them. Okay. And the 5 adoption decisions, we're going to dive deep into this later this week, but I want to introduce them so you can start kicking them around. These are the 5 things that people weigh before they buy or adopt a new decision or change of behavior. Okay. Relative advantage. What is the advantage of what you're selling me? What is the advantage of doing what you're selling me over what I'm doing right now? This is where most marketers play a lot of time there. The second is complexity. What is the level of complexity? Is it too complex or is it too simple? We need to show through all of our content the level of complexity. For really low ticket things, we might want to show simplicity. For much higher ticket things, we might want to show complexity, right? This is too complex for you to ever do on your own. That's okay because we know how to do it. Right? Compatibility. Is it compatible with my beliefs, my religion, my family life? One of the reasons, if you go to my Instagram, for example, there's pictures of my dogs. I have had probably $15,000 or $20,000 in business, just little one day, $5,000 per day, office days, just because people love my dogs. They're like, I was going to hire this guy, but you're always with your dogs. I just think that's awesome, and I thought it'd be cool to come to California. So compatibility. Is this compatible with, again, my belief, my religion, my family life? Is this compatible with the image that I put out there, my espoused values? Trialability. Is there, this is the test drive. Is there some way I could test drive it? Or, my neighbor has a Tesla. Maybe I can ride in his. Like, can we give a level of trialability? This is what we're always looking for. And observability. It's much easier to sell solar panels. There's a ton of data on this. It's much easier to sell solar panels to somebody if they can see the solar panels on top of their neighbor's home, because they can say, oh, that's what it does. That's what it looks like. That's what I'm buying. Totally get it. Right. So these are the 5 adoption decisions. I'm going to show you how to create content that systematically addresses all of these. Most of you have people on your list, in your audience, on your Instagram, on your Facebook that are ready to buy, and you've just been hammering one of these adoption decisions, right? Probably 2. You probably just go relative advantage and testimonials. Relative advantage, testimonials. This is why we're better than the other guy. Here's proof. This is why we're better than the other guy. Here's proof. And if you just came in with a very, very simple video, audio, text that addressed complexity, they would buy right now. But you've never addressed complexity. You've never addressed trialability or compatibility. Right. So most people, almost everybody that has a list of, or an audience like 500 or more, has so much money sitting there because they just market the way they market, they sell the way they sell, and they're completely unaware of the things that actually push people to buy. Okay, so we're going to deep dive into the 5 adoption decisions. I'm going to show you how to systematically cycle through them, because half your list might buy off relative advantage. The other half might buy off of a level of, combination of complexity and trialability. So double your sales from the same audience if you just know how to speak to the 5 adoption decisions. So I'm going to break that down for you. Okay, the other thing you need to learn how to speak to is value systems. Value systems. This is what I do probably better than anything else, is in your content, everybody speaks to time and money. That's great. Time or money. But there are other currencies that people value: legacy, authority, attention, confidence. Some people do really well just selling fame, right? Most B2B are super consumed with ROI, selling ROI. People don't buy ROI. Some people are super bullish about selling time. Not everybody buys time. Right? There's legacy, authority, attention, confidence. There are so many different currencies, and I'll show you how to cycle through them. Because the truth is, if you try to sell me money, I'm not going to buy anything from you. I know how to make money. If you try to sell me time, I'm not going to buy anything from you. I have a whole business that is like world class at getting people time back. Now, when we talk about value systems, however, there is a way to create content where you can speak to both people that value their time more than their money more than their time. It will immediately double the yield of your content. So usually we're either talking to one or the other. I'm going to show you a framework where you talk to both, you respect both, you sell both, and you create a ton of concentric growth in doing so. Just be aware of these other value systems. We're going to focus primarily on time and money because it's a mini course, and we're going biggest bang for buck here. I'll build these all as add-on courses and stuff like that. Okay. So just understand the value systems, understand we're going to focus on time and money, but we're going to marry it in a way that you could just ready, fire, aim a video on autopilot without much thought and dominate people that value their time more than their money, and also people that value their money more than their time, right? 2 very different people, but there's a super unique way to speak to them. Cool. Now here's a question. Because this is so multifaceted and because there are so many options here, this is what we need to do. Over the next 5 days, I need you to figure out what is the one micro step you want your audience to take with your content. Now, if you bought the book and you've been through our stuff, I have 8 phases, and each one is nuanced, but the framework is about the same. And what we want to do here over the next 4 days, so today and the next 4 days, identify what is the one micro step you want your audience to take with your content. What I mean by that is, do you want people to watch your webinar? That's the micro step. So they have to opt in. Opt in for the webinar would be the micro step. Okay. Maybe they just watched the webinar and now you're showing them content and you want them to book a call. That's another micro step. Those are very different pieces of content, and I'll show you why tomorrow. But we need to figure out right now, maybe you have a program and you want to create content to get people into the back end. So your current buyers into a back end program. It's a micro step. You need to identify which micro step you want to focus on so that as we work through these worksheets, and you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 worksheets we're going to go through in the next 4 days. As we go through this, you can workshop with me. I can workshop with you and figure out how to take that step. So if you want them to opt into a webinar, or you want them to get on a call, or you want them to buy from a sales page, whatever that micro step is, you need to get clear on it right now so that everything we present, you can put in that particular context. Okay. And then what we'll do tomorrow is we'll line out these micro steps. This will load here. Okay, and we'll start looking through the adoption decisions, relative advantage, complexity, compatibility, triability, observability, and we'll start breaking through their beliefs. Okay, but let me show you an example of this false belief framework and the difference in the micro steps. So this is what we need them to believe. We can start at the very high level. However, at some point, we need them to believe that watching our 45-minute webinar is better than watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch, right? So that content could be very different than, okay, they watch a webinar. Now we need them to believe, that it's okay to put something on credit if it's an investment in yourself. We don't want them to believe that before they watch the webinar. It's too big of a step. So you got to get clear on the micro step. And then as we work through these belief busters and the trust profile, which looks like this, as we work through belief busters and the trust profile, we get crystal clear on how to show up and just dominate every piece of content you do. Then once your content is stealth influence certified, when you distribute it, you will see a massive increase in sales instead of just more of the same crappy content everywhere. Cool. Hopefully it's helpful. Any questions? We'll be on the Zoom. We're going to shut down the live stream here. So if you're watching for free, go ahead and do the homework, do your micro steps, and we will see you tomorrow in the belief buster section of this mini course, masterclass, whatever it is.